Howdy everyone, Andy here from Team Completed It. Just wanted to give a big shout out to our supporters and sponsors over at My Hero UK. My Hero UK is a one-stop shop app for all your comic book needs. Buy, sell, trade, amazing service over at My Hero UK. Head on over to your app store, type in My Hero UK, download the app, and the boys will take care of the rest. If you want to check them out, go to www.myherouk.co.uk. Thanks for the support, boys, and enjoy the show. Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Completed It. Yes, would you believe it? We've done 2 shows in a row. Like, we're probably back now. And while this is out, I'm actually in America because this is in the future and it's now Wednesday, but we're recording on Sunday. Anyway, I digress. I'm your host, Andy Burrows. Welcome, everyone, back to Completed It. Full house this week. The boys are back in town. At the bottom of my screen, oldest friend in the world, Mr. Sash Alari. Sash, how are you, bro?
All good, man. All good.
Good to
Welcome
see you.
back, guys.
Yeah,
How's
good
it
to see
going? Got full squad.
Full squad, man. Did you enjoy the mall episode that me and Neil put out? Like 1.3K it's up to so far on the old YouTubes.
Yeah. You guys did good. Yeah,
Oh, thanks, mate. Cheers.
yeah.
Oh,
It's all
thank you.
good.
Top left of our screen is Mr. Yoda himself. Neil, how are you, bro?
I'm doing good, sir. I'm doing good.
It's good to sit in the future and talk with you guys because right now I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in America. Who knows what I'm doing right now? It's Wednesday. Who knows? Boys, we are here to talk the dreaded word reboot remakes. We were chatting away in our WhatsApp group, and Neil was like, "I have views on this." I'm like, "Well, let's hit record." So here we are hitting record, boys. We sit in a world now where it seems to be very easy. Neil, me and you done a Star Wars show last
Yes.
week. We sat down and reviewed more and we got into Star Wars, not kind of being rebooted, but carrying on to like episode 7, 8, 7, 8,
Mm.
9, and then the animation stuff. And we talked about, do we sometimes think that Star Wars was just being used for the name of Star Wars? And we got into it. So that got us to thinking of, wow, if you look down I've made a mini list now of kind of rebooted films and some TV shows as well. If you look just this year solely alone, and the back end of last year, well, this year we've got He-Man coming out,
Mhm.
reboot. Street Fighter, kind of rebooted slash sequels. Maybe we can get into it.
No, it's a
Uh,
reboot.
it's a
Straight
re
reboot.
Yeah. Rambo's in recent years come back.
Mm.
I went to Netflix at the back end of last year's. Beverly Hills Cop went straight to Netflix. Neil, you put the trailer for the TV series Man on Fire into our WhatsApp group the other day.
Hmm.
Again, another reboot. So, Neil, I'm going to come to you first, my man. Where
Right.
do you sit in the world of reboots, remakes? Because do you know what? Some of them I see and I think, not bad, actually. I quite look forward to this. But then I went and watched. I sat in my front room and watched it. Beverly Hills Cop straight to
Mhm.
Netflix. It wasn't for me. Didn't like it. It was for me. It's just like this isn't Beverly Hills Cop. I'm not sure what I think about He-Man. I'm hoping I'm going to like it. But where
Mhm.
are you thinking? Are we at a stage now where they are kind of rebooting them, but are we just like grumpy grey old men now? And they're like, well, we can bring this back now because this is a whole new generation that, like I said to you before we started
Mhm.
recording, there might be like 8, 9, 10 year old. There might be the versions of us when we were kids.
Yeah.
For all we know, we didn't know back then. He-Man could have been rebooted. We didn't know. We were 9 years old.
Is
We didn't
uh,
have.
is
We
Beverly
didn't.
Hills Cop a reboot though? I mean, that was a sequel.
Mm,
That wasn't a reboot.
No, but he
That's
means like reboots and sequels as opposed to like new properties.
reboots and
Yeah.
yeah.
sequels.
So,
Okay.
Neil, you
Okay.
said you said to us in the group chat, I have views. I have strong
Yeah.
views.
Right.
Let's hear them,
So
buddy.
one of my views is this. We are old enough now that nothing is really new anymore to us. And what I mean by that is we all saw Gladiator, right? And I would say we were all early teens when we saw Gladiator, right? And we saw
20.
Gladiator. Hmm?
I was in my 20. I was 2-0.
Okay, so you were 20 when you saw Gladiator, right? Now,
But it might be better if you reference things. You had hair.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying this, right? So we all of us saw Gladiator. We all saw it on the cinema.
Yes, sir.
The only person I know who was not a big fan of Gladiator when they saw it in the cinema was my mum.
Oh,
And the only reason she didn't like it
She'd
is
seen the
because
original.
when we left the screen, she said, this film is just another version of Spartacus. And I was like, Spartacus? I was like, no, it's not. Thinking, because I'm like, that old film with Kirk Douglas? Nah, never. And I sat down and watched Spartacus. And I was like, wow, there are so many similarities between Spartacus and Gladiator.
Mm.
But because the names are different, the situations are different, and the fact that Spartacus is a real human being who really
Hmm.
existed versus Maximus, who is a fictionalized character who's like an amalgamation of a couple other people who really did exist. We let it slide. We let it go. We were fine with it. But because my mum was pretty much like, you know, she was like pretty much the age we are now when she watched it,
Hmm.
she felt that way about it. But with these reboots now, what I've noticed is, Spartacus was, what year was Spartacus? That was like
Oh, sheesh.
the 60s?
65, 64, maybe. Let me Google it while you're chatting.
Yeah. So Spartacus was in the 60s. So 70s, 80s, 90s. So that was like 40 years, right? It was almost 40 years from when it came out to when Gladiator came out. And they had a lot of similarities, but they weren't the same. Versus
1960.
1960.
The 8th of December, 1960, it come
Well,
out.
there you go. So it was literally 40 years. Now, you think of when the last time you saw, say, Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
Hmm.
And then how many years was it until you saw Tom Holland as Spider-Man? And then you think the last time you saw, we're getting these reboots and sequels, they're coming so thick and fast now that nothing original is really being thrown out there. And we know because when I say we, I mean the three of us and everyone in that group chat, we know original properties do really kind of come out there and show how good they are. Things like Weapons, things like Sinners, things like John Wick, right? Things like The Raid, these films come out and they immediately make an impact. But they're wedged in between uh Marvel film 27
Mm.
and you know the fifth reboot of the DCU in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We're stuck in this position where all of these films are being rebooted, all of these franchises, all of these IPs, and it's just recycling the same 10 things over and over again.
Mm.
And to me, that is causing the indifference. Like we always talk about, oh, cinema is dying or cinema's dead and film is dying and all that. We always have these group chats, and I think most of us are looking at the wrong thing. It's
Mm.
not because there's an over reliance on superhero movies. It's not because streaming is available. These are all factors, yes, of course. But the fact is, no one's got a real good reason to go to the cinema anymore.
Not when you got things like Netflix, Disney Plus, Sky Store,
Yeah, you have
Paramount
all of these
Plus.
things, right?
Yeah.
And it's like how it makes it difficult for you to want to see these films. And reboots, for the most part, my honest opinion, I think there should be like a tribunal in Hollywood that says yay or no to projects. I think whenever a film studio wants to make a film, they have to submit it to this tribunal, and
Mm.
this tribunal can say yes or no. And I think when it comes to reboots, the tribunal should be like 30 years.
The problem with that is though, a lot of these big, we'll use Paramount, Sony, any one of them,
Yeah.
etc., etc. They'll come Disney. They'll come.
Mhm.
They'll go like me and you talked about last week. You just used
Mhm.
the word Star Wars. Instant
Yep.
cash. Now, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent,
Mhm.
it's instant money. Print cash. It's got Star Wars in the title. Star Trek, Superman,
Yeah.
Batman.
But
Any of these have got. Now we're looking at things like Street Fighter.
yeah.
Instant money because we're all gamers and we've all grown up with, you get an audience like me, you and Sash, and then you get a newer audience of these kids who are like, what the fuck is this? Street Fighter? And they go,
But that's the thing.
I'm
I
gonna go,
don't think they're instant money anymore.
really? What, even on the
I
name?
I'd look at it like this. So Street Fighter. Street Fighter is the perfect example. I am definitely gonna go and see Street Fighter
Same it.
because I absolutely adore Street Fighter. I got it tattooed on my arm. I, have Street Fighter paraphernalia all over my house. But I am not seeing it opening night. I'm probably not even seeing it opening weekend.
Mm.
Because to me, everything I've seen of it so far does not motivate me to go and see it.
Mm.
Whereas Mortal Kombat 2,
That's out soon as well.
I will be there opening night.
Yeah, me and you both.
And
Bro.
I love Street Fighter infinitely more than I like Mortal Kombat. But just looking at the two of them side by side, and I'm looking at the two of them side by side, and I'm like, Mortal Kombat, the first of the reboot came out, and I was like, wow, you guys really dropped the ball. I was like, you gave me a couple of errors in here. And yet, the sequel looks better than Street Fighter.
Mm. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean,
I'm like, how? I was like, Mortal Kombat are coming off a misstep. Street Fighter has a clean slate, and yet one looks serviceable, and the other looks like I'm either going to be super upset when I see it or indifferent about it.
do you think we fall into the bracket? Sorry, so just real quick. Do you think we fall into the bracket, us three and everyone in our group chat and maybe people of a certain age? Do you think we fall into the bracket and the prism of, well, we're judging it on what we know from the originals? Do you think, like, say we'll say Transformers, we'll say etc. etc. I mean, my mate Chris, who watches this all the time. Shout out Chris, just moved house, hope it went well. He's Street Fighter and Transformers mad. Like, I mean, Neil, I've told you this many times. I can't wait to get you two in a room together. But even he'll mention we'll say the quote unquote new Transformers movies.
Yeah.
And he'll just roll his eyes at me and be like, nah, Burrows. Nah,
Well,
nah.
do you know what? I'm glad you chose Transformers. And I'll tell you why I say no. The first Transformers film, right? As in the first live action Transformers film, right? The Michael Bay one. I watched that recently. When I say recently, I mean last week.
It still holds up.
And I was like,
It's a good movie.
Yeah,
this movie's
great movie.
I'm like, this movie's better than I remember it to be. And I
Really
remember enjoying it. And
Really
I'm like,
good
this movie's better than I remember it to be. And it's very different than what I grew up with. Very different than the cartoon, very different even than the cartoon movie. Very different. But it had just enough of what I love put into this new environment, new thing for me to be like, I'm okay with this. I'm good with this. To the point now when the film finished, I was like, no, I'm really good with this. I like this. Now, from film 2 to film 5, did it decide to slip, slide, and fall off a cliff? Hey, yeah. But
yes, you know what? Bumblebee went bad.
yeah, but the thing,
Bumblebee was all right.
but the thing of it is,
Shit, to be in Burrows or something?
the thing is,
I mean, while we're coming out with stuff, I actually didn't mind Dark Side of the Moon. It was bad, but you know what? Out of all the Transformers films, that one
As soon as Megan Fox went in it, bro,
next
they
level
lost
set
me.
pieces in it, and I kind of enjoyed it.
They lost that original cast, bro. They lost me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no. The minute Mark Wahlberg came in,
cast.
it was over. It was over. The minute Mark came in with Feel It, it was dead. Like, here's the thing, all right, with Transformers. I mean, that first Michael Bay film was a solid film. Well, you got to understand, before Michael Bay got hired, because you got to understand, I said this in the group chat, he's not an auteur director. He's not a Tim Burton, a Tarantino, which has Yeah, I mean, he has a certain style to his movies, which is bombastic and big explosions.
Yeah.
But he doesn't write the movie. He's hired by people. He started off as a music video director, working with big bands like AC/DC and people like that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And the thing with Michael Bay, he's a hired hand director. So with Transformers, you got to understand the two writers who were the two guys that went on to do Star Trek
Yeah.
eventually, Roberto Orci and who's in charge of Star Trek at the moment that everyone hates. Begins with K. He wrote and directed The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Oh
Uh,
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on. I'm gonna have to
what's his
Google it.
name? Kurtzman.
Yes.
Alex Kurtzman.
Alex
Yes.
Kurtzman,
And
Roberto Orci.
you asked
Yeah.
my mate Ed about
It's
him.
because of those two. That's why the live action Transformers exists, because they were Transformers fans. They knew the lore. More Roberto Orci because he was an ultra nerd and he was like one of us kind of thing. And they wrote the script, you know what I mean, for Transformers as a spec script. They wrote other films as well, but they wrote Transformers and they wanted to get it made. Now there is a YouTube video of them two in their ute where they've written the script and the passion is there. They know what they're talking about. And then Spielberg gets it. Spielberg gets it because Spielberg's a producer on these movies. He doesn't deal with the day to day, etc. But
Yeah.
his name got it made. You know what I mean? The studios were like, oh, well, Steven Spielberg's, that's how movies are made. It's attached. Transformers, Spielberg, cool. Are you directing at Spielberg? Hell no. But I'm hiring a director. Who does he hire? Michael Bay. Why? Because, he does big action. And the other thing I might say while I'm at it, because I'm a little bit of a Michael Bay defender, all right? He's as good as his scripts, right? And Transformers is the perfect analogy of this. That first movie had a killer script, which is why it's the best movie. That script was written years before it hit the screen, right?
Yeah.
So everything about it was how you'd expect a movie to be made. When the second movie came out, well, while they were making the second movie, Roberto Orci and Kurtzman, they wrote a couple of notes on what the sequel could be, kind of thing, like a page long, bullet points. The Fallens, the big bad, you know what I mean? This, that, the other. Matrix has to happen. Prime dies. That's it. That's all they got to do. That's all they had during that second movie. Now, when it came to writing the movie, these guys were signed to do the Trek movie,
Yeah.
the reboot of Trek. But the problem was there was a writer's strike, so they couldn't write jack shit for Transformers. They couldn't write anything for Transformers because there was a strike. And Michael Bay had to film the movie. So he's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to film whatever I want action scene wise, because he understands action. So they filmed the action set pieces before there was even a script for the actors. So they filmed a lot of the action scenes first and some of the CGI work first, based on this synopsis and whatnot. And then when the strike was over, then they turned around to Orsi and Kurtzman, can you come back to write the script? And they were like, no, we're signed to do the Star Trek reboot. So they go do the Star Trek reboot. They can't come back to Transformers.
Which was very good, by the way.
So what happens is they hire some next bro. I forget the guy's name, but every time I see his name, I get angry because I know the movie's going to be shit. But they hired some next guy, and that guy wrote a script around what was filmed, his own bullshit, and he didn't really look into the mythology of stuff, so he just threw out whatever was there, kind of thing. And that was the result of the movie we got, which is why it was like down the toilet. Then, you know what? Transformers made money. The second one made even more money. So, of course, there's going to be a third one. Hey, that screenwriter got quite a bit of money. So it's like, I'm sticking with Transformers because I want to get paid. You know what I mean? He's on big bucks now. So now they've got a screenwriter that's just writing whatever now because he's not really bothered about the law because they don't, the higher ups don't care about the law. Bay doesn't care about the law either. You know what I mean? And the guys that did have moved on to Star Trek. So You
Yeah.
know,
No, you
it's
make some good points, mate. You make some good points.
and money talks, unfortunately.
Well, that's what I'm
Unfortunately,
saying.
money talks,
You
and
can put a
while
name
the
on
audiences
anything.
are watching the money, and
Yeah.
while all the top brass are like, well, hey, it's
Top
still,
brass don't give a shit about scripts.
yeah,
They
they
just
don't.
care
As
about
long as
money.
they see that
Yeah.
$1 billion, they
Yeah.
don't care the quality
Look how
or
many
what.
fucking Fast and
Yeah,
Furious movies we're getting. We're getting the 10th one coming out, what, sometime this year, and it's going to be the
yeah,
last one. And they flogged that like a dead
You
horse.
mean
The few,
11th?
11th, sorry. The first few Fast and Furious I loved. I didn't even mind Tokyo Drift. But soon as I think it was Fast and Furious 8, when my guy's sending his car out of a plane and it's landing with a parachute, nah, I'm done. I'm out. I'm like, fuck this. This ain't proper. This is like, one of my friends at work, Gavin, he's like a massive car enthusiast. And he was like, I stopped after Fast and Furious 5, bro. He said they stopped making it about the cars and it was all about the effects, which I get. Boys, just kind of wrapping up because Neil, I know you haven't got long tonight, mate. They're making a TV series. They make TV series of many things. Neil, again, you put in our WhatsApp group chat the other day, one of my favorite films is now coming into a TV series, Man on Fire. I mean, we can kind of touch on that and where we see movie adaptations. Yes, I said it correctly. Going into TV series, and some of them work well. Again, we're not going to get into the whole Star Wars thing because we've done that to nauseam recently. But Neil, me and you were talking about Man on Fire before we jumped on recording, and we're huge fans of the movie. Denzel is the GOAT. Everyone that knows and watches this knows he's my favorite actor of all time. I love that movie, and I mentioned to you the movie Sniper, which I
Yes.
absolutely loved with Mark Wahlberg.
Mhm.
Love that. And then I thought they made a TV series. I thought, oh, okay, let me watch this. It was literally the movie
Mhm.
in 10 parts. I know you said you haven't seen it, but I don't even bother because you've seen the movie, so you ain't got to
Yeah.
watch the TV show. So when you see things like Man on Fire getting turned into a TV series, and there's been many other
Mhm.
TV
so Man on
series
Fire
turned
is a
into
TV
movies.
series.
Yeah, Neil was saying it's
So,
turned into a
so my
TV series.
question is that original film was based on a book, and
Yes.
that book had many sequels.
Mhm.
Mm,
Like many sequels. So like there's The Perfect Kill that came out in 92. You
Mhm.
have The Blue Ring that came out in 93, The Black Horn in 94, A Message from Hell in 1996. There's a series of books following the same character, job for job and whatnot.
Greasy.
So it's like, why the hell don't they just hire Denzel and do a sequel movie? Because that was a successful movie and people
one slight problem.
what's that?
He's dead.
Who? Oh,
Denzel
in the
died.
movie.
Yeah, he died.
Yes.
Oh, they killed him off in the movie. I
Yeah,
can't
the little
remember. I've
girl.
only seen
He was
that
walking.
movie
One
once.
of the saddest
Yeah,
things you'll ever see in a
Yeah,
movie.
the end is
right.
He
yeah.
sacrificed himself to save the little girl. But Neil,
Yeah.
again, like what we were saying before we hit recording,
Mhm.
how do you think these reboots, remakes,
Mhm.
movies into TV? How do you think they fit into the prism of what we know and what we love? Because some of them are okay, and then some of them I think, why the fuck are you doing that? Does it come back to what me and Sash just said and what you said? It's all about the money.
I mean, the problem is this, right? It's the film industry. It is the film business. It is a business. All businesses run on money, whether we like it or not. So at the end of the day, the industry will do whatever it needs to do to make money, to survive, to continue flourishing.
Hmm.
So on that hand, I understand why they're like, oh, we're going to continue to make this and we're going to continue to push this out. The problem for me with it is that when you have an iconic performance, especially when the iconic performance is in part of, how do I put it? Especially when that iconic performance is not in a massive IP that it's like Michael Keaton is an iconic performance in Batman,
Hmm.
but that doesn't stop Christian Bale. That doesn't stop Val Kilmer. That doesn't stop George Clooney. That doesn't stop Robert Pattinson. That doesn't stop Ben Affleck. Because yes, it's an iconic
I wish
performance,
it had stopped Robert
but
Patterson.
the character can just roll on. Something like Man on Fire, it's one of one. They've made one film with that character,
Hmm.
and to be honest, the ending that the original ending that we see, that you saw it in a cinema, if you watch the film on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, the ending you see when you watch the film, it only alludes to him dying,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, it only alludes to him dying. It doesn't outright show that he dies.
Hmm.
So they may as well just sequelize it. That was a
right?
very
So
successful movie.
yeah, so it
Plus,
could
plus
be
I
there
didn't know
could
there
be a
was
thing.
I didn't know that that movie was actually a remake as well.
Man on Fire.
Yeah, Man on Fire.
But
There
from
was a
the
film.
something from the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, something from the 80s. I just
Yeah.
posted up, kind of thing, which I only just found out during this podcast. I've never seen this
Because
movie.
the book was made in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Was
But
like in
then
80s.
you can look at things like Neil. Obviously, I don't know if you
Yeah.
boys watched this in the late 80s. I think it was late 80s. The Equalizer.
Yeah.
Edward Woodward, one of the greatest TV shows
Mhm.
of our generation,
Mhm.
now got turned into I didn't watch all of it. Did Queen Latifah play
Yes.
the main character? Yeah, and
Yeah.
to me,
So
I
it
think
became it went from the TV show to a
yeah,
film
to back
to
to
a
Queen
TV
Latifah.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know it caused uproar because you were like, the Equalizer can't be a woman. I'm not. The Equalizer could be anyone, really. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. James Bond could be a woman if you want. It's just a 007 agent. But I watched the first two episodes of The
Mhm.
Equalizer and I was like, nope, no, 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 no. Like big time, no, no, and no. But then I watched Denzel in the movies,
Mhm.
and they are the first one, especially it's ranked in my top five in the last 10 years.
Mhm.
I absolutely loved Denzel. And the third one was okay. They kind of tied everything up. It was all right. I
Mhm.
don't think they needed to make it.
well,
Obviously
they're
the
doing
net
four
dead.
and five.
I've heard that. Yeah, I did
Yeah,
hear
they're
that.
doing
I
four
know I
and
haven't
five.
heard anything from Denzel himself, but I absolutely love Denzel. So there are times when you think that was good.
Mhm.
Like that, if you get someone like Denzel Washington, of course it's going to be good. But then you get no disrespect to Queen Latifah in the TV series, but
Mhm.
you think why? I mean, I didn't just obviously I know we're short for time now. I do know you have to go.
Yeah.
So if you
No,
do have
that's
to
fine.
shoot, just go. Me and Sash and carry
Yeah.
on waffling. I didn't
But
watch this, but I know you guys talked about it in the WhatsApp group the other day. Malcolm in the Middle, was it? That's come
yes.
back. I've never seen it before, ever, ever, ever. But I know people are
Neither
like,
have I.
everyone's like, it's really good, and I'm really enjoying it. And then some of my friends are like, nah. No, 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 no.
Well,
But it's like they're bringing back the In-Betweeners, apparently. They're making one more series, and it's not
Yeah.
a movie. They're bringing back an actual TV series of the
Yeah.
In-Betweeners. And then it starts you thinking again, oh, do really? They were pushing it with the last movie, and you're like, oh, they're going to be really old now, and should they do it? And I read the
Well,
other
do you
day,
know what it is?
are we ever going to get like a reboot of
Yeah.
Friends? Or like we got, what's it? Fraser's back. Fraser's come
Yeah.
back. Is it as
Well,
good
here's
as,
the
you
thing.
know?
Here's one thing I would think about that. I think legacy sequels, whether it's TV shows or movies, I understand them a bit better
Hmm.
than a straight reboot because it is to a degree interesting to see where certain people end up. So I didn't watch Malcolm in the Middle,
No,
right?
neither did I.
But
me neither.
Malcolm in the
Scrubs
Middle,
is back. There you go. There's
yeah.
another one.
But there's another thing. I didn't watch Scrubs, right? But Malcolm in the Middle, Scrubs,
I never
You
seen
things
it.
never
I've
like
never
that,
watched
seen.
right?
Scrubs?
I've never seen one episode.
These were shows where you followed these characters over this
I got a
strict kind
call
of period of time, right?
afternoon.
Yeah, this strict kind of period of time,
Hmm.
right? In Malcolm in the Middle, they're kids in school. I take it. Malcolm is a child in school.
Hmm.
Now Malcolm is a grown adult with his own children.
Yep.
So I'm like, that's an interesting take. That's an interesting thing to do, is to see where he is now.
Hmm.
Scrubs, again, I didn't watch it, but I take it they weren't like certified doctors. They were, like not
Interns or
the
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
interns.
but
yeah.
they start
Now,
yeah. They
but
started off as interns, but they become doctors
yeah,
throughout the
so they were
series.
interns and they become
Yeah,
doctors. And now the new series, I take it they are the doctors, and
yeah,
it's them as the doctors
With
teaching
the interns.
yeah.
the new
Yeah, yeah.
generation of it, right? So
Well,
things like that,
yeah.
I get. Now I haven't watched Scrubs, so I could be completely wrong with that. But I'm like,
I've got to interject with Scrubs, man.
right?
I'll be because this is the best example.
Mhm.
So Scrubs, you've got to understand, could have went on and still been a thing from its first iteration.
Mhm.
You got to understand this. It was a very popular show. It was one of the top comedies at the time. And the thing is, you know, actors
Mhm.
get more expensive per season. And also, some actors, when they're younger, want to go off and do other stuff. Like, for
Mhm.
example, its lead, Zach Braff. He just directed a short film, no, a movie
Mhm.
with Natalie Portman. I forget the name, what it was called. He
Garden
direct-
State.
yes, got
Mhm.
that one.
Oh,
So he directed that
knowledge
movie,
of
and
the
it
boys. Why we call
really
him Yoda?
well. It did really well on the festival front, and it looked
Mhm.
like that was going to be his big career thing.
Mhm.
And clearly his movie star thing didn't work out with Oz the Great and Powerful that came
Mm-hmm.
out around the same period when Scrubs was over.
Mm-hmm.
And, his movie career didn't go off and whatnot. And, with the Scrubs reboot, it just kind of felt like all the cast that didn't want to leave never wanted to leave. Yeah, I mean they were good with not leaving and just carrying on.
Mm-hmm.
And the cast that did leave were like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And their best times were working on that show. Um, the thing is with Scrubs, when I heard they were doing this new one with everyone back, I know that's how the cast felt that way because they've made no secret in saying so over the past couple of years. But that show, when Zach Braff said that he was leaving, they gave it the perfect ending in season 8. And then because like the creator didn't want it to end,
Mm-hmm.
he did a ninth season where Zach Braff's in it, but then you've got the new interns and stuff, and he's only in it for a handful of episodes throughout the season. He's in the first episode and the last episode, and maybe one in between, kind of thing, popping in. And that season was weak as fuck because obviously it's not the guys, right? And ABC cancelled the show. You know what I mean? They cancelled the show after that one season, the intern season. This new one was going to be they were going to pretend interns didn't exist. So the events and interns didn't exist. And it was going to continue off the old show. I had very mixed feelings going in because I was like, that's crap, rah, 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 rah. And I said it in the group chat,
Yeah.
in our group chat, because I was very passionate about, interns not working and also how great it ended. You know what I mean? It ended on a high in season 8, where it's like, that is the perfect ending. That is the perfect ending to this show. And to be quite honest, it was my top 10 of all shows, the way it ended, kind of thing, of that kind of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And the first episode did everything I feared it would do. It sucked. But then 5 minutes towards the end of that episode, what made Scrubs so wholesome and that I loved about the show, that's been missing in a lot of shows, strung a chord, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay with it. It finished last week. I finished it now. I finished it yesterday. You know what? It's like they never left. I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
Might have to check it
And
out one day.
but that first episode coming back in, I still stand by what I said, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
it was that anticipation of like fear of like, oh, you could drop the ball and it not be as good. But it is great. And I don't know, man. It's a one-off kind of thing where that happens because it's very rare when stuff like I'm having the same thing with Ted Lasso at the minute because they ended Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso has an ending, right?
Yeah.
And there's a fourth season coming, and I'm like, how? I don't. It ended so great. I don't want them to carry on. You know what I mean? Like leave it at its greatness. But
Yeah.
money
Well,
talks. Money
I
talks,
would,
man.
yeah, because I will say, kind of to touch on to what Sasha said, I think the reality of life is not the reality of the film and TV industry.
Yeah.
The reality of life is things end. Things should have an ending. And that's, great stories have an ending.
But then they try and carry them on some stages. Only Fools and Horses, Green Green Grass, Suits, you got Suits LA, Friends, you got Joey. They try and
yes,
eke
because
out
they're
as
in the business.
much.
Because as I
Out.
said, they're in the business of making money. They're in the business of continuing, and it's, you know, think of it like restaurants. Think of it like McDonald's, right? If they were like, okay, we're only going to have McDonald's from January 1950 to December 1970. If that was the only timeline of McDonald's, and after that it was like we're closing up shop, we're done. There would be a longing for it. Those who experienced it would be very happy that they experienced it and they feel nostalgia for it, but it would be done.
Good movie made about McDonald's, by the way, with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, The Founder is a brilliant movie.
Fucking great movie.
But the point of it is that if you can continue, business-wise, you will continue.
Mm.
and you will continue until you can no longer continue. And that is the mindset of the film industry. If I mean, let's be absolutely clear and honest, right? I love Marvel. If Avengers Endgame was the last MCU movie, if there was nothing after that, if we said, you know what, Endgame comes out after Endgame, you ain't gonna see a Marvel superhero for at least 10, 15 years. That movie would today, that movie would be the highest grossing movie of all time.
Mm.
It wouldn't be Avatar. It wouldn't be adjusted for inflation, Gone with the Wind. It would be Avengers Endgame.
I don't know about that.
No, because if you knew it was the end, if you knew nothing was coming out after that,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
as many times as you saw it in the cinema, you'd see it two more times. Knowing
Maybe,
it's the end,
maybe. I don't know. I
right?
don't know about that.
Knowing it's the end, knowing it's the finale, right?
When you saw Return of the Jedi, everyone thought that was the end of Star Wars.
Right? For
Yeah, but that
context to
didn't
that,
make
think of
that
it
that
like
didn't
this: TV
that
shows,
didn't make more money though. That made less money than Star Wars Return of Jedi. Revenge of the Sith made less money than Clones. Even though it was the final one. So I disagree
well,
with that.
I
I
mean,
think
I'm
you
I'm
can't.
going
But
off what
the
Neil
thing
said.
is, hold on, hold on, right?
If you
Because I think
knew
it's
Return of
like,
the Jedi, you know what I mean? If you know what you knew back
But,
then.
but we thought it was though.
Well,
That's the
yeah,
thing,
I get you.
especially with Revenge of the Sith, because he said no, there'd never be more. He
mhm,
actually said that. He
mhm.
said that consistently for years afterwards. That's why when Variety Breaks episode seven's being made and Lucas is selling the company, that was massive news. That was
Mhm.
like insane Looney Tune town. What kind of craziness are we talking about? Like who's coming? That was, you gotta understand, when that news dropped, I was in denial. I was like, this is what?
Well,
What? Like,
maybe, but
yeah.
I'll put it to you in a term that you will know, right? Sash, how long was Jean Grey dead
What, in the comics?
in the comics? How many years was she
Oh,
dead?
years, mate. Years.
Right.
Yeah.
And her coming back,
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. That was a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that is essentially the film industry.
Hmm.
They refuse to let anything die, but they forget you let something die, or not die, die is the wrong word, but if you let something end,
Mm.
Yeah.
you are going to be you'll be very surprised when you decide to bring it back.
You'll be
Yeah.
scrutinized as well.
Yeah, you will be scrutinized, but you know, it's just it's a very difficult subject. But one thing I will end my part on this on, because I do need to go,
Yeah, no, I need to go as well, actually.
is
Yeah.
that Steven Spielberg, his first appearance at CinemaCon this year, I think it was this week, in fact,
The
Yeah.
new the trailer for his film.
he dropped the trailer for that. Everybody's talking about the trailer.
Hmm.
Not that, and not enough people are talking about his speech, about what he said.
Oh, about original content.
Yes,
Yeah.
he said original content is needed. He said
Hmm.
we need more. We can't be relying. He said if you're relying, I think his exact words were, if you continue to rely on reboots and sequels and things, you're going to run out of gas.
Yeah. He's right.
And he's absolutely right,
Yeah.
because, and you want the prime example of that? Prior to John Wick, prior to the John Wick franchise, everybody adopted the style, the action style, or Hollywood adopted the action style created in the Bourne franchise
Yeah.
of these a million cuts
Yeah.
and shaky cameras and all of that,
I hate that shit.
right?
Worked well in Bourne though.
It
Great film.
worked well in Bourne because it was the first time you saw it.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
film.
And it made sense because the entire film
Yeah.
has that kind of feel. It's not just the action scenes, it's the
Yeah.
entire film
And,
has
and,
that.
and also like Matt Damon can't fight in real life. It's just,
But all
Well,
the
it's
I mean,
Bourne,
easier.
to be
It's
honest,
easier to switch to the stunt double
yeah,
in.
but to be honest,
One Bourne
that's
film is
neither
better
here
than all
nor
the
there,
Mission Impossible films ever.
right? I
No,
think, to be
no,
honest, that's neither here nor
unfactual,
there about
unfactual,
Matt Damon's
Fallout.
fighting ability, right? It's
Terrible.
neither here nor there. It's they developed a style, they used the style,
Mm.
kept running with the style. The style faded not even obscurity. It faded into disgust, into the realms of disgust, where every film tried to do it, did it badly, and it was horrendous. Then John Wick came, and it totally revitalized what stunt work needed to look like, what action scenes needed to look like, what your if you cast someone to be in the film, they need that training.
Mm.
And they made good action. The good thing about John Wick was they were good action movies with a great storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you watch an action movie purely for the action, and you're like, Fast and Furious again, for a perfect example. Not the best storylines in the world. You just watch it for the fucking chases, and Die Hard, never the really greatest storyline in the world, but some, killer fucking, action sequence. John Wick, the storyline and the continuation of the storyline to what led up to the final, not the final John Wick.
That brings,
people
bringing
might
the
not have seen
smack
it, but
into reboots in general. I mean, like that. You know what? The biggest reboot in the past like 20 years came because of Jason Bourne, and that is James Bond, which is about to get another reboot. It's third reboot. Now I know Andy doesn't like Bond, but this proves a point here.
Yeah, I get it.
This proves a point. I mean, when Pierce Brosnan did Die Another Day, he was expected to come back for a fifth film, and they were talking about doing a Halle Berry spin-off of her character Jinx, and then all of a sudden, the Broccolis, that's their real names, the guys that own the Bond license, the Bond films, they had this one-off opportunity to get the rights for Casino Royale, the original Bond novel. And they were like, if we're going to do this, we're going to make it the first Bond film, how he becomes James Bond. And it's going to be a reboot set now. 2006, whenever the hell it came out. And because you got to understand, James Bond is, set in the Cold War. You know what I mean? So you have to update the franchise for modern day kind of things. Or, that was their intention with the Daniel Craig films. And you know what? A lot of people, including myself, were like, no, blah, 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 because Bond's a male fantasy kind of thing. And they went and they took the Jason Bourne formula of making it more gritty, more real, and relatable to people. And you'll find a lot of people got into James Bond because of the Daniel Craig era. Not necessarily a lot of people, because like obviously a lot of people. Hang on, let me stop while Neil goes.
Yeah, let's let Neil get out of it. And then say, Neil, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. You've got to go and save the world. We'll just say you're going to do that. I don't know what you actually. He's going to watch WrestleMania, everyone. But Neil, have a good night, my friend. No doubt I'll speak to you throughout the night. I'll catch up with you soon, brother.
All right, see you guys.
See you later, bro. Bye, mate. Sash, carry on, bro.
Yeah, but what the Daniel Craig films did, it brought Bond to a new audience, the younger audience. They made him more accessible to women because obviously, before women weren't into Bond. You know what I mean? But a lot of women like Daniel Craig's Bond because it's not what they expect.
That's why they mentioned. Obviously, it's been muted for probably years now, and I'm not a Bond fan, but it's been muted that if they ever made a TV series, it would be on a female Bond. And I can see why they want to do it, but it's not my.
Yeah, that won't happen. I think. So what they did, this was the uproar with the last film. So James Bond is James Bond, but 007 can be anybody.
Could be anyone, yeah.
And in the final one of the Craig films, he's not 007. He actually retires, kind of thing, because he retired in the previous film. Right. Or you think he does.
Okay.
But they carried the story thread on. So this black woman played by forget the actress name, but she's really great. She plays the new 007. Gotcha. And that caused all kinds of uproar. And I'm like, look, it's not like she's called James Bond.
Yeah, she's just 007.
It's not like she's the main character of the movie, because the main character is James Bond. It's just a number. So I didn't have a problem with that. But what these new Daniel Craig films did, they continued off of each other. It's a continuing story from when he begins to when it ends. And it does end. It actually ends James Bond's story across 5 films, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
It could have went on longer because fanboys would have loved it too. like myself, because there's so many. Because you have like all those old films, you're like, well, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
Daniel Craig's old, and they wanted to end it, and now we're in a position where they're like, right, it's been 25 years since the last reboot,
Hmm.
because it's been that long, or 20 years since the last movie. 2006. Okay, it's 20 years today. By the
Hmm.
time the movie comes out, it'll be 25 years since
Yeah.
Casino Royale came out, which means it's time for a fresh
Reboot.
refresh
Mm.
rather than continue on with the
Where
same
do you think you get
guy.
to the point, just wrapping up, Sash, because I really do need to
Yeah,
go. Where do you think you get to the point with movies or TV series, we'll say movies,
yeah,
where the end is the end? Because I like the fact that I've watched 40 Towers is one of my favorite comedies of all
oh
time.
yeah, yeah,
Never brought it back. What did they make? No, 16 episodes. Something. Very few episodes. I absolutely loved it, where do you get to the point where you go, I don't want to see this rebooted or I don't want to see this remade? Is there, because like Neil said earlier, and like you
yeah,
made a great point of, these big bosses don't care. They don't care that the end was
yeah. It
perfect.
depends.
Like Neil said with Endgame, if
Yeah,
Endgame had ended there, I would have been fine with it. If you mentioned Scrubs earlier, and you mentioned all these programs and etc. etc. If Rambo had ended where Rambo ended, if Terminator had ended where Terminator ended, where
yeah.
do you get to the point where you go, fucking hell, they can't. 20 years down the line, they can't just reboot James Bond again, and
But here we are. Here
yeah.
we are.
But where
Yeah.
do you think? Is there a point where you, or are you like? Does it go back to your point earlier, where the money people just go, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, the money people don't give a fuck. And also, unfortunately, even though we feel a certain way about these things, other people feel differently.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I personally think Star Wars should have ended at Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But that's only because I don't like the sequels. I
Hmm.
know other people do like the sequels, but I hate the sequels, and
Hmm.
I wish they were never made. I honestly think after rewatching Return of the Jedi, that tells the story in 6 parts,
Hmm.
and it actually ends because
Yeah.
that's an ending.
Hmm.
And sure, you could do like loads of stuff, but that's what the novels and that were for. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That we grew up with and stuff, and they did that job perfectly. And then I don't know, man. The way I see it is the way I've had to adapt it is in my head is that they're clearly not making these movies for me, so they're not going to
And
get my
because of the
time.
world we live in now, it's
Yeah,
very easy now to just chuck something on a streaming service
yeah, yeah,
and go,
yeah.
look, we'll
So,
make a mini
so
series, 8 episodes.
yeah,
We'll fill in the gaps.
we vote with our dollars. At the end of the way, at the end of the day, if you don't want something, don't pay for it. It's like
Mm.
it's like um, it's like if I don't want to see something, I won't pay for it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's like the new Superman. I wasn't a fan, but I'm willing
You
to
didn't
give
pay
it
for that. I
another.
took you to the premiere.
Yeah, but I did pay for it because I
I know.
pre-booked tickets. You know what I mean? But do you know what I mean? It's like I'll probably watch the next one just to see
Man of Tomorrow.
how it
Yeah.
goes,
Yeah.
how it goes and stuff. But because I didn't
You
hate
gonna
it,
watch? You
I
gonna
was
watch
like,
Supergirl briefly? You gonna go and see Supergirl?
yeah, of course, I'm a comic book fan, so
I
I
know you
will.
are, bro.
But
We'll go and
there's
see it
certain
together.
things where I probably wouldn't. Like if they made that Ray movie, that Ray Skywalker movie, I will not pay a dime to see it because
I still think that will get made.
yeah,
We're not going to get into it now, but there's another
yeah,
time. But
but
anyway, I need to
I
wrap this up.
personally wouldn't pay money for it because that's not what I want to see them make more of. Does
Mm.
that make
Oh
sense?
yeah, makes
Yeah,
incredible sense, mate.
that's
But
just me. But yeah,
I'm glad we got to sit down and talk reboots, remakes, and everything. It's a heated discussion, like you say. People in our
yeah,
WhatsApp group have been speaking about it most of the day. So we thought, hey, why not? Let's just jump on here and do it. And it will be a debate that goes on and on and on. And we've done episodes before about the death of cinema and is it dying? And
yeah,
we've said like maybe we just are grumpy old men, and we need to realize the fact that Netflix and Disney and fucking Paramount Plus and Hulu and God knows what else now is taking over the world. And maybe it's gonna. When me and you were kids, we had to go to the cinema to see all these big movies because we had no other choice. We had to
yeah,
wait another 9, 10 months, 11 months, 12 months to get a sequel, maybe even longer. Now they make movies together. They make one part and two parts back to back. So the world is changing. Maybe we need to adapt, but I think some things don't need to be remade.
yeah,
But Sash, pleasure as always, my friend. Like I say, I'm currently sitting in the future because this is Wednesday when this drops, and I am currently in the United States of America. I fly out on Tuesday, so the next time I see you will be next week. I'm off. The next movie I'm going to go and see. I've got Project Hail Mary lined up, and the Michael Jackson movie. You going to go and see that?
oh yeah,
So
that's
we will sit down and
yeah,
review the Michael
definitely.
Jackson movie, my friend. But Sash, stay healthy, my friend. Stay well. I will no doubt speak to you when I'm in America, mate. Tell you what's going on across the pond. See what Mr. Trump's up to these days. probably causing chaos wherever he's going to be. But anyone wants to check us out, head over to YouTube, type in Completed It Podcast. Thank you to the 1.3K that tuned into the More episode. That was really, really well appreciated. Completed It Podcast on YouTube. You can find us on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, at Completed It Pod. Facebook, Instagram, just type in Completed It Podcast. But I've been your host, Andy Burrows. Till next time, everybody, stay safe.